Hey everybody, welcome back to another Jackson Jet Setting cruise ship tour. We just got off of the Disney Dream on a 3-night voyage down to Castaway Cay and Nassau, Bahamas. We had an amazing time. So now I want to show you everything that's on board this cruise ship from the very top deck all the way down to deck 2. There is a lot to see on the Disney Dream. I was surprised even doing all the research before getting on board. So let's check things out, starting on the top deck. So this is deck 13. We're on the aft part of the ship. This is called Goofy's Sports Deck. So this is where you're gonna find the 9-hole golf course, mini golf course. I liked how there were actually 2 spots for you to start. One that's the Max side and one that's the Goofy side. So you can actually make a full 18 here, which I thought was pretty smart and a good use of space here. So there's actually a deck 14 and we'll show you that in just a bit, but it's really just one room that's used for weddings. But I did manage to capture a little bit of that. So we're in the back here. There's also the basketball court that you'll see in just a second, as well as the sports simulator. So they actually have a golf simulator and a full sports simulator, so you can try out different types of games like basketball, etc. These were bookable before the cruise. Didn't get a chance to try them out myself on this short voyage, but this being my first Disney cruise, wanted to try and do as much as possible. One thing I will note is that the golf course did use wooden balls, which I thought was a little different and not expected. So just keep that in mind if you're a golf purist. I don't consider myself one, but I do like to get some putting practice in if the cruise ship does have it. They used wooden balls, which I think there's just a lot of kids and just keeps things a little bit more on the course, which makes sense. And they still worked fine, but just keep that in mind if you're a golf purist. So since deck 13 is split between the Goofy's Sports Deck and then the Edge Tween Club and then the forward part, we're actually going to descend down to deck 12 to check out more of deck 13. So we'll get a little bit of the tour of deck 12 here before we make our way to the forward part of the vessel. Deck 12 is considered sort of your sun deck. It's above the main pool complex, but it is where you would get in line for the aqueduct, which is the ship's water slide, one of 2 water slides actually. It's the first water coaster at sea. It made a big splash when the ship premiered almost 10 years ago, but you follow Donald Duck's little prints up the stairs here. You have some great views around when I shot this, Nassau, but on our voyage, only about a 5-10 minute wait. We did it twice. Didn't allow me to take my GoPro down because I didn't have it attached to my body, but has a nice little story about Huey, Dewey, and Louie screwing with Donald a little bit there, and you get a nice panoramic view of the entire pool complex, and you go actually into one of the funnels, both funnels actually, which is pretty cool. And so if you keep walking on deck 12, you'll hit Waves. That's one of the pool bars. So that's really nice for adults or kids that are looking for like a smoothie. You can access this for all ages. Nice little, wood paneling. Not really much of a theme here, but it serves as sort of a ancillary pool deck bar if you needed it. I'll say the ride itself is probably about a minute and a half. Lines can kind of get long, especially if the ship itself is pretty full. We sail it at about 60% capacity, so there's not really too big of a deal. This yellow Mickey slide is also very popular with the kids, and it's not for adults. You can't ride it if you're an adult, so don't get any ideas. But that's located right next to the Mickey pool, and then the Donald pool is towards Funnel Vision, which is that giant TV over there that's playing Disney movies all day long, which is super awesome. One thing to note here is that we're about to walk through the family zone. So this is a nice area reserved for families, just to kind of be families together and not really bother any adults. There's also a little Donald themed pool here. The kids don't need a life preserver or anything in this pool. It's really shallow. So a nice area for the adults to kind of hang out, maybe watch their kids in a less chaotic environment than down one deck below at the main pool complex. So now we're gonna ascend back up to deck 13 to the Satellite Falls area. And this area is completely adults only. So there are several adults only areas of the ship. This is one of them. So that's really fun if you're an adult cruising without kids, or if your kids are hanging out in the kids club, you can hang out in these areas. There's Currents over there, another not super themed bar, just sort of a additional pool bar, but it's open there for adults in this area, and lots of sun loungers with nice plush, amenities, since the kids won't be there to mess them up. So that's available and free to use for any adult. Appropriately too, this is where the Concierge level's private pool deck is. Wasn't incredibly impressed necessarily with the location of this. I think that there's a lot of shade for this area, but they do have a nice little private hot tub there. They have some areas just to relax and read a book. So that is available only to Concierge guests. You have to be staying in the Concierge level. You are not allowed to enter there if you have friends that are staying in Concierge, so just keep that in mind. And then this is the Satellite Falls area. I love the theming of this, even though it's not really like a Disney theme per se, but clever use of this space. So those are the ship's satellites, and you have a nice pool underneath that that's heated. I wouldn't say like to hot tub levels, but it was really nice to hang out in there one day. So now that just about does it for the main parts of deck 13 for now. So now we're going to go down to deck 12 and start touring more of that we haven't seen. I will say this ship is very easy to navigate, and there's not a lot of dead ends that I do find on some ships, so keep that in mind if you're constantly frustrated by some cruises and how you can't get to one part of the deck to the other. Disney Dream did a really good job of directing passengers across decks. So now I'm walking you in towards where the Concierge level is, and so these are all the Concierge staterooms. It's also where the Concierge lounge is that I can't unfortunately show you because I did not have a Concierge room on this voyage. But they have their own small little snacks in the morning. They have a bar in the evening with complimentary cocktails. Lots of other amenities. That's where their concierges are that can basically create an awesome vacation for you. So really, really a lot of fun there. So definitely check that out and make use of that if you're staying in the concierge level. Back in the family zone here. Just wanted to show you what some of the pool showers look like. Lots of these around the ship, so people can stay clean before jumping in the pool. So now let's show you the final part of deck 13 and then the only part of deck 14. This area is really hard to find. I really only came across it once while shooting this video. And if you don't look for it, you're not going to find it. But let's take a look at Edge. So this is only for kids 11 to 14. So this is sort of that tween space. They have lots and lots of video games. I didn't get a chance to really give a full tour of this room just because they were having kids club activities going on, but a cool Wall-E poster as you walk up the stairs here. So there's always Disney theming around every corner on the Disney Dream, which was really cool. But basically just one little room here. You know, if you're too old for the Oceaneers Club, too young for the teen club, it's a nice little buffer zone. So plenty of space just dedicated for them, which is really cool. And as we walk up the stairs to deck 14, we're going to see Outlook and the radio station. So the radio station wasn't in use while I was on board. I don't think it's really used much anymore. And then Outlook was not while I walked up here, but it looks to be a nice function space for weddings. It overlooks, you know, the pool deck. So definitely an option there for people on deck 14. So there is some more of deck 12 with Remy and Paulo and the Meridian Bar. We'll show you that in just a second. So we're gonna head down to deck 11, which is the main pool deck, and also has Cabanas, which is the ship's buffet. And we'll check out everything there is to do on this deck, which is a very busy deck at all times of the day. So right ahead is Who's It's and What's It's. So that's one of the ship's shops. So they have all of the sort of beach wear there. So definitely check that out if you forgot something. So this area to the right will have some quick service food. So this is for people that are wet from the pool that don't necessarily want to go into the buffet. You have ice cream. They have different flavors throughout the cruise, so different flavors each day. And then you have the Frozone treats, and these are all smoothies. These are all an extra charge, so just keep that in mind if you're interested. But obviously some Disney characters here from Pixar, and really a lot of fun there. So now we're making our way into another adult area. We saw a brief glimpse of this from up top, but this area has another adult pool, sort of the quiet pool, has some hot tubs, and then the Cove Cafe, which ended up being one of my favorite spots on the ship. So it has coffee, fancy coffees in the morning, specialty coffees that are an extra charge, some free food items like croissants, you know, something like a quick bite that you don't really want to go fight the hordes at the buffet, some cool Disney paraphernalia, Walt Disney paraphernalia from his travels that inspired a lot of the Disney films. Really cool here. And then at night they have a great cocktail bar with lots of fun cocktails. So definitely check this out if you are an adult and your kids are in the kids club, or if you're just traveling on the ship alone. One thing I did love about the ship is that a lot of the art comes alive, and you never really know which ones are the ones that come alive or not. So you can see the three caballeros there flying around Walt Disney. Pretty fun. So definitely check all those out, and I'll show you the midship detective agency in just a bit. So the adults pool here, they do have a bar that's in the pool. Unfortunately not a swim up bar, but nice little area for adults, and a tiny pool, but something definitely to get away from the kids. And then appropriately enough, in the adults area is also where you'll find Senses, which is the fitness center and spa. On our cruise, I think it was $89 for a couple if you wanted access to the rainforest, which is sort of the sauna, steam room, all that stuff. So we'll show you a spa tour right now that I recommend everyone doing on their first day on any new ship, just to check out the spa facilities. So the spa has a barbershop for men, which is great, and it's located right next to the manicure pedicure area that has nice ocean views, so definitely check that out if you're interested. This is all located sort of in the front part of Senses, right next to the fitness center, which we'll show you next. So the fitness center has everything you need. I felt like the equipment was very, very new and well kept up, at least. I didn't see a ton of people in here during my cruise, but again, it was just a 3-night voyage, so I imagine if we did have a sea day, this would be pretty packed. Not a gigantic gym for the size of ship, and you know, new ships are dedicating a little bit more space, I think, to fitness. But overall, love this. And then moving on from there, we're gonna check out the rainforest, which is the full spa facility. So yeah, $89 for our cruise for a couple to access, which was a pretty good price, I thought. But you have, you know, a number of different showers that have different nozzles, and you know, you have sort of your salt rooms and you have your steam rooms, all the things that you see in a normal spa. So nice theming here, different, you know, options for whatever you're looking for. I will say one nice thing is it was a co-ed facility. I sometimes, you know, when we're traveling as a couple, I don't really like how things are so separated at spas. This is more so, I think, at resorts rather than cruise ships, but like that aspect for sure of the rainforest over here. And then they did, of course, have the heated stone seats, which are very popular everywhere in every spa. And they did have a nice little hot tub area that is outdoors, so that is an option for people that don't really want to fight with the deck to use a hot tub. This could be an option. And of course, for your massages, etc., there are a ton of treatment rooms. I mean, this spa is pretty big for this vessel for sure. And they did have 2 couples massage therapy rooms, which I thought were really, really nice. So she's going to show us here what they are, but you have kind of your own dedicated deck space. It was like a 2-hour treatment, and I thought pretty reasonably priced. It was under $300 for the entire thing for 2, but yeah, you have your own hot tub on the deck, you have a nice shower area, so really, really a lot of fun. So definitely check that out if you're on board. Under normal times, they even have a teen spa area, and then over next to the gym and the front desk, there is a juice bar that you can get some nice fresh squeezed juices for an extra charge. So, continuing our tour of Deck 11, we're walking past that pool bar that was in the adults pool, and we're heading back towards the aft part of the ship. We're going to see more quick service dining as we exit the adult area. So continuing the Pixar theme, we have Flo's V8 Cafe. So you have Fillmore's favorites. So these are your salads and healthier options right next to the pool deck. This area always had the shortest line, and no surprise there when the other places had delicious hamburgers and pizza. Then you have the Tomato Grill. So those have, you know, your grilled to order items. And then Luigi's has your pizzas. So like I mentioned before, the pool deck has 2 main pools. You have the Donald pool, and then you have the Mickey pool. So the Donald pool is located right front and center for all those Disney movies, so the kids loved that. And then the Mickey pool was closer to the slide that has that's propped up by Mickey's hand. So like any cruise ship, get here early if you want a seat front and center on the pool deck. These go very, very fast, as you can imagine. Kids need some life preservers. I'm not sure what age cutoff that's at, but it is required, and those pools can be a little deep, you know, for, you know, pretty much on every cruise ship. They always are. So just keep that in mind. But on either side, there are some self-service beverage stations. The cool thing with Disney cruises is that you do have free sodas and Powerade options and soda waters on the deck available to you at any time for free. So that's really great. And one amazing thing too is just how much they really pack into the Disney Dream. And so underneath this, what would probably be dead space on another ship is actually Nemo's Reef. And so this is the splash pad area. for kids on board, and it's super cute. So kids absolutely loved that, that were at the right age. So now we've reached the aft part of the ship, which is Cabanas, and this is the buffet. On our cruise, it was just open for breakfast and lunch, but I know that they were open for dinner before the pandemic. But our cruise was one of the first ones that was allowing self-service buffets, so it really did feel like a normal buffet experience for the first time in almost 2 years, which is really great. So they have, we were here during breakfast, so we had eggs and Mickey waffles and pancakes. There was a, grits area, fresh fruit, plenty of options here on both sides, all themed to Disney. There was, some of the seagulls from Finding Nemo. There's a whole Nemo mosaic over here that's just really beautiful. And then at lunchtime when we got on board, this area in particular was really cool. They had some stone crab, they had shrimp, all very high quality food. I was very impressed with the food all across the ship. So loved Cabanas, and we ate here a little bit during our cruise, especially for breakfast. There is some seating outdoors as well at the very, very back of Cabanas, so keep that in mind. And there's also a bar back there. There's always some slightly different options as you move through the buffet. In the back here, they had, your desserts. They had some carvings, so I had some roast beef one day. All very high quality, really great stuff. So directly above Cabanas is one final part of Deck 12 that I did not show you earlier. It's Remy, Palo, and the Meridian Bar. So this is the fancy specialty dining options on board the Disney Dream. So let's check that out. So as we walked into Palo, we got the whole explanation about the chandeliers as we walked in. It's sort of a pasta dish from Italy, stylized with all this blown glass, really, really beautiful. We really timed out completely by accident our 2 meals at Palo and Remy with the sunsets that were on the right side of the ship for each restaurant. So they're kind of in spaces on opposite sides of the ship. But really nice wine cellars. You walk in, everything just feels really, really high end and just a beautiful, beautiful space. So we loved our time at Palo. Definitely recommend getting the Ossobuco. If you've made it this far, please consider liking this video and subscribing if you like cruise content, if you like Disney content, if you like resort tours. My channel is chock full of those at this point, and there's just only going to be more and more as we move on to the future. So really appreciate the support. I didn't get a chance to have a drink in the Meridian Bar, but they were doing a whiskey tasting on our last night of the cruise as we walked out of Remy, so that was cool. But then entering Remy, this is their signature restaurant. This is $125 per person for what is basically a 3-star Michelin dining experience on board. They have $25,000 bottles of wine that were featured in the Ratatouille film, which is pretty cool. But this is a cool Art Nouveau designed space and just incredibly elegant feeling. And we got an excellent window table right here for the sunset. They pour you a cocktail, a specialty cocktail, as you get seated and take a look at the menu. So really just a fantastic time here. Check out my Disney Dream Experience video coming up if you want to check out exactly how our meal went. We're going to take these glass elevators that show some really cool murals on the parts of the elevator shaft that are not glass, all the way down to deck 4. Now there's some things I'm going to show you on deck 5 first, but to get to them we have to go down to deck 4, which is the walking track, jogging track that goes around the whole ship. And this is Vibe. So Vibe is the teens club. I loved how they put this in the very front of the ship in an area that's super, super secret, so that parents can't really find their teenagers, even though, it's located on all the maps, but just really hidden and a really cool space for everyone. But we'll take you down this walk here. So everything looks really industrial, but then you come across the entrance to Vibe here. And I think it's one of the coolest spots on the ship, this awesome rainbow tunnel. And so Vibe has actually an indoor and an outdoor space, which is very unique. So the indoor space has a nice little dance floor, some cool couches to hang out at, little pods to charge your iPhone or whatever else that you're watching and just chill out for a bit. They have a whole karaoke area, a classic arcade, lots and lots of fun there. And then we'll check out the outdoor deck as well. So again, even though we entered from deck 4, this is actually on deck 5, which has more public spaces. But you can see the nice foosball area. This was open house, by the way. That's why you see a lot of people in here on embarkation day. So you can actually go in and check things out if you just wanted to take a look and see what the space looked like, which I recommend doing. Now this outdoor area is awesome and has a pool, 2 hot tubs, plenty of space to just chill out, meet new friends, a dance floor. It's awesome and in the very, very front of the ship, super hidden. Only way you can get to this is through Vibe's interior. So a nice space to hang out and get away from the parents. So the rest of deck 5 here starts right in the aft area of the ship. There are some cabins on this deck, and then moving forward, we will tour. So here's Pepe the Muppet's cabin, just a fun little detail that they threw in there, so definitely fun to check out. And so this is all the kids clubs. So this is the Oceaneers Club and the Oceaneers Lab. We checked this out on embarkation day, so we are going to get to show you this, but normally this is open just for kids. I think on longer cruises they do have a few more open houses that you can at least go in and test out some of the stuff. It's really fun and obviously a huge highlight for any kid's journey on Disney Cruise Lines. So definitely worth checking out. I love how the portholes on this floor are a little lower so that the kids can climb up there. All the portholes there have little cushions for you to look out if there's not a lifeboat in your way. So super fun. I thought this ship did a great job of having a lot of natural light flow into the space, which was really, really cool. So now let's check out the Oceaneers Club first. So the Oceaneers Club and Lab is open to kids ages 3 to 12. So you walk in and to the right is Andy's room from Toy Story. So this is all hyper themed and super cool. As someone who was a kid when Toy Story came out, love this. Everything on the floor there looks, like it wouldn't be carpet, but it's actually all carpet, which I thought was really cool. And then I just decided to move counterclockwise across the room. So we're following the path all the way over to the Oceaneers Lab. And so this is kind of the interactive craft area, which is just absolutely gigantic for kids and has a ton of theming as well. So you see a lot of areas that kids can make a mess in between here. And then over here in the Oceaneers lab, this is kind of a cool ship feel. Feels like kind of captain's quarters. And you're able to animate over here in the corner. There's all these little nooks that have different activities going on. So obviously this is focused on animation, very important to Disney. These dance floors on the ground are super interactive, so you can tap on the edges there and the image on the dance floor interacts with whatever you're doing, which is pretty cool. Lots of little nooks to watch Disney content. And then we have, of course, some synergy here for Playmation, which I'm not really sure what that is, but there it is. So now we're going to move on from the Oceaneers lab back to the Oceaneers Club and check out one of my favorite spots on the entire ship, which is the Millennium Falcon. Now this area is not as special now that they've opened Galaxy's Edge at both Disney World and Disneyland, but when this first was renovated, and I'm sure that they did some testing on this space for the actual land, but you can drive the Millennium Falcon. Now they have a whole ride, which I'm sure a lot of people that are on board had done because our cruise left from Orlando, but they're using, actually, funny enough, the Star Tours missions here just as a sort of simulator. But if you're a young kid, this is still awesome. It's not on a schedule like the ride, so you can actually just play around with the buttons and enjoy yourself. Now they have hundreds of activities throughout the cruise here, and I'm sure interact with all the spaces a little differently, so I have no idea on that since I'm not a kid, but did love how I got to meet R2-D2 over here, who's moving. And then moving through the rest of the Millennium Falcon cabin, it leads to another space, which is, I think, the Pixies Hollow area. So there's Tinkerbell and all the other Pixies that I know Disney was doing, and you can find them in the park sometimes. But this is probably a younger kid space, but really cute and well themed. Then here's another dance floor, which is pretty cool. So I did love how much space was dedicated to the kids. I think a big reason for that is that Disney Cruise Line does not have a casino on board, so all that extra space can be used for guest entertainment, which was much appreciated and really cool. Then here's another space that I think has video games throughout the day, and it's themed to Disney Infinity, which is another consumer product line that Disney runs. I don't think this space is particularly as popular as the other spaces since it's not as well themed. And then I thought that these little hand washers were really cool as you walk in. Keeping everything clean for kids is, an automatic hand washing station. So moving on from the Oceaneers Lab and Oceaneers Club, right down the hall we have one of the sign-up booths for Midship Detective Agency. And so those magical art that you see across the ship, you can actually interact with a QR code that Disney gives you, and you can solve the mystery on who stole the 101 Dalmatian puppies or who stole the show from the Muppets. And so you hold up your little card here like Laura is doing, and then the art changes to your mission, and you have to unlock, on this one at least, and try and find out where the puppy was. So super fun. It takes about 45 minutes to do a full mission. You don't have to do it all at once, so definitely something to do if you have some gap time. One other thing that's located right next to Oceaneers Club is the It's a Small World Nursery. That was closed during my voyage, but this is great for people that have 6-month-old or more infants. They can actually drop them off for an extra charge, and they can enjoy their adults-only dinner or anything else they'd like to do. On the other side of the atrium there is the Bibbidi Boppidi Boutique, and so that's where you can get yourself done up like a princess or a pirate or a captain. But this is our first shot of the atrium, which we'll show you a little bit more of in a bit. But there's some lovely, lovely art here on the walls. There's tons of art throughout the ship. I was so impressed with how the ship looked. Here's the Port Adventures desk that you can book shore excursions. Since we only had 2 ports, wasn't really needed on our voyage. So now we're making our way towards the forward part of the ship, still on deck 5 here. So this is where the theaters are going to be, the upper levels at least. So we have the Buena Vista Theater, which is where all movies, it's a dedicated huge movie theater. It's just looks like a real movie theater that you'd see on shore. I'll show you that in a second. And then you also have the Walt Disney Theater, which is where all the big production shows are at night. Disney does set dining, and so if you have the early dining, you'll see the show after dinner, and if you have late dining, you'll see your show before dinner. So it's all very organized. So now we'll head down to deck 4, which is another full passenger deck with tons of experiences for guests on board the Disney Dream. So as I said, the Walt Disney Theater and the Buena Vista Theater both have balconies, so now we're going to head down to the main floors of both those theaters. And I'll show you a quick shot of what they look like on the inside. On our cruise, we had in the Walt Disney Theater first the Golden Mickeys, which was the first time they've actually performed that in over 2 years, and then Disney's Believe, and then Beauty and the Beast. So over a 3-night cruise, you'll see 3 different shows, which is really fantastic and a lot of fun. And just like a real movie theater or theater on Broadway, they have Preludes, which is outside of those theaters. They'll serve you popcorn, which is an extra charge, I believe it was $3.50, or a giant popcorn bucket that's refillable for $20, and then they also have sodas, etc. So a lot of fun there. Now, I thought they did a great job through this space. It really did feel like a Art Deco classic ocean liner feel here. But this space is basically just meant for a little bit of shopping, a little bit of the guest services. So they have Shutters, which is the photography studio on board right there. They also have the area that you can check out all of your onboard photos. They have photo packages, as this is Disney. It is pricey, just keep that in mind. And then they also have a lot of the characters nearby that during COVID at least, they pop up at different points of the day, and you can check them out. This area is also where you'll find Vista Cafe, which is just another coffee bar. If that Cove bar is a little busy in the adults only area, you do have another area with an espresso machine. And then this is the jewelry shop on board. It used to be a Tiffany & Company, but now it's not. And then the D Lounge, which is sort of the family lounge. So you'll see trivia here during the day that's geared towards families. You'll see different arts and crafts. There's a cool LED wall throughout the whole space that doesn't show up super great on camera, but nice stage there for family karaoke. Lots of fun activities in here. And now we're going to make our way to the aft part of deck 4, and this is where the district is. So the district is adults only most of the day. There are some times during the day that families can come in with their children, but at nighttime it's strictly for adults. There's a lot of the adult activities, you know, the late night shows that are always fun to do on a cruise ship. They have all of that on board. A little bit tamer, I think, than other cruise lines, but a ton of different little spaces, little bars to check out with all different cocktail menus. So we'll check all those out right now. So the first bar we come across is the District Lounge. This is where they have a lot of live music at night. They also have trivia during the day. Lots of trivia on board. So if you're a trivia fan, you'll be happy. Pink over here is actually the champagne bar, which is super cool. They have bubbles, pink bubbles on the wall that you can see the pink elephants from Dumbo that occasionally pop up. So definitely check this space out if you're a champagne fan. They have a beautiful, beautiful glass sculpture behind the bar. Moving on from there, we're heading back further aft to check out more of these bars in this adults only area. It's definitely a maze. So here's Club 687. I was wondering what 687 signified, and it's actually the whole number of the boat when it was being built, or ship. And then this area is actually for buffets at late night. So they have some finger foods, which is really great. You don't have to journey all the way up to the top deck where Cabanas is, or you know, a lot of the spaces are actually going to be closed when people are hanging out here having a few cocktails. And then Evolution is where all of those late night shows are going to be held. They also have bingo in here, so that's one of the times that kids are allowed in is for bingo. So a nice big space, beautiful bar here. This is themed to the evolution of a butterfly. And then through here is actually how you'd get to Skyline, which is the ever-changing Vista bar. So they have different cities that will appear at different times, and then so you could be having a drink like in Chicago here, but then it might be in New York or Rio de Janeiro. So a very popular space for adults. So now we're gonna head from here all the way down to deck 3, which is even more public space. So if you're not dining in those specialty restaurants, you'll dine in a different dining room each night on board Disney. This is very unique to Disney. So they have 3 different dining rooms on board. The first one is Animator's Palette, and so this is pretty famous on the original ships. You know, the dining room would change from black and white to color throughout your meal. Here they do sort of a turtle talk with Crush, if you're familiar with that from the theme parks, and then he'll come table to table if you're lucky enough to be seated on one of those tables near the screen. But each individual dining room has a different menu, so that's super fun on a week-long voyage. So you can try different things. All the food quality was really great. So this part of the ship is aft, and then we're going to walk all the way forward and check out some more of the dining rooms as well as the main atrium. So down another long hallway, to the right here is the Royal Palace. This is the other dining room. This is the only dining room that we actually were able to dine in on our short 3-night voyage because, well, there was other things to do. So we'll check out the inside of the Royal Palace here. This is all themed to the Disney princesses, so you'll have a chandelier in the middle with the Cinderella slippers. Lots of really cool details here. The backs of your chairs all have different symbols for each princess. So super cool. A nice French inspired menu. They had a really good creme brulee for dessert. All the desserts, of course, on board were fantastic. So definitely keep that in mind if you're, a French food fan. And so on this deck is actually where you'd enter the ship into the main atrium. It's a grand entrance on board. This atrium is a hub for activity. There's weddings, there's characters all day. A lot of people passing through here going to different parts of the ship. So this has always got something going on board. And so we'll take a look at the beautiful chandelier, all the carpets. You have the Captain Donald statue there. So each Disney ship has their own captain, which is really cool. Nearby is also guest services, but guest services actually has a chat feature on the app that worked really well, so I do recommend people using that. Some more art there that's from Cinderella's Castle, so you can take your photos with that. Super cool. And then here's a lot of the shops on board. So there's, your typical Disney shops with all exclusive Disney Cruise Line merchandise. This all leads into the Walt Disney Theater. And coming out of that space is another bar, the Bon Voyage bar. So this is sort of the, lobby bar. Nothing really too special there, but if you do need a quick cocktail or a beer, or even just a glass of water, which is included, you can grab it there. And so now we're gonna move all the way down to deck 2. This is the final dining room called the Enchanted Garden. It's also where you can sign up for the Midship Detective Agency as well, if that other one on deck 5 is too mobbed with kids coming out of Oceaneers Lab. So the Enchanted Garden's beautiful, and it just feels like you're in Versailles. I was kind of sad that we didn't get to dine here, but we'll check it out on this little video here. So that's the full tour of the Disney Dream. I hope you enjoyed this tour. If you like these videos, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, share it with your friends. Come on back because we got more cruise content coming to you.